I have a few questions actually,
Yes.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
First of all, like, so having this stuff going on,
Yeah.
um, how do I put this in words? So, like, the recent experience was literally divine. No, I'm in the garden, and everything's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really the cheesy. You can't put words to it, but everything was just heaven.
Yeah.
Um, are you like in that all the time?
No.
Um, it couldn't be, no?
No, it's impossible. Um, yeah, that's impossible. So that's like an effect of waking up, like this bliss that comes, or this divinity, and it's kind of for me, like it comes and goes. Like it's sometimes more intense than others. Like
Mm,
and then sometimes, like like this afternoon, I'm writing a book at the moment. And I was writing the
yeah,
book, and then afterwards, like I felt this like really funny, like painful energy, and so like I just laid down and meditated for a bit, and then that passed, and then this bliss took over again.
right,
So it's something that comes and goes. It comes quite regularly,
right.
but it's not constant, and I don't really think about it that much. And who knows if we're talking about the same thing? Like, my interpretation of bliss or this divinity might be different from what
Mm.
you're describing. We don't know if we're even talking about the same thing.
I was going to say, God knows. No. Um,
And maybe that's
yeah,
the goal. Maybe as the human like evolves and releases more things, maybe the not the goal, but maybe what begins to happen is the human experiences that more and more. I don't know, or I don't know if it's just something that comes and goes, and when there's pain, and then when that stops, like this, I don't know the answer to that.
right. Because in that state, it's like it, just the blades of grass were just divine, just
Yeah,
and everything's shifting in almost like yeah, to use words like the Matrix or whatever. I think I
yeah,
understand what that talks about because everything's like fractal kind of.
yeah, yeah,
So that's the question. If you're like in and out of that kind of state of
yeah,
like fractal divinity, I guess you call
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I'd say that it comes and goes.
Right.
Like so
Wow.
when like if I'm watching a film that's really sad, then like I'm just totally involved in that sadness. Like and if I have an argument with someone, then there might be total involvement in that anger or annoyance or whatever it is, and that takes over the whole screen or the whole experience.
Hmm.
And then when that passes, then there might be this like heavenly involvement with the carpet or the sofa, and that could mean that I'm not finished. It could mean that there's like further for this Lisa body mind to go. It could be that
Right.
that's always the way it's going to be. Um, I never know where I'd find the answers to that. I listen
Wow.
like
Hmm.
if like, I listen to many teachers, and now even if I listen to teachers that like I don't find anyone that's got an answer to it. So say if you took someone like Tony Parsons,
Hmm.
who would say that I'm not in the same state as him, that I'm still a somebody. But if I took him as an example, he
Yeah.
like he would say, when there's anger, there's just anger. When there's bliss, there's bliss. When there's joy, there's joy. But who knows if we're talking about the same thing? Like he looks at me and says that I'm on a lower, like like that that there's still self there. Like that's what he would say. And then
Yeah.
if you go to another teacher, like if you don't, like Tony's very, he would only, like he's like very extreme,
Yeah. I used to
like
go and
about,
see him. I didn't like his character.
oh yeah,
Yeah, not at all. But that was um,
yeah,
before, after you, I can't remember now. But,
yeah, but there's also
before.
like other teachers that teach like Tony, and that there's very this extreme, like there's like the way they see things, and and I just don't know. I don't know how you would judge it. Like in one way, I could see from like I can see, like if they say there is still self appearing in Lisa, I can also see that because there is a character that still appears, and there is like seeking patterns that still appear at times, and difficulties. But at the same time, I don't know what the end result looks like. Like I know that there was something that happened, and there's this expansion and this deep knowing of this other perspective, but I don't know what the end result looks like in Lisa at the end, and I don't make any judgments on it. I just kind of go roll with it.
Well, you're kind of okay where you are, right?
Yeah, I just roll with it. Like whatever appears, appears. Crying appears. If happiness, if bliss, like it is what's appearing, that's what's happening.
Oh my God. Thank you. Now
I
go into
one.
Yes, please. You've kind of answered loads with that. And then the question, the $1 billion question. I don't know.
Yeah.
You, which I just want to ask you, just for my own sanity's sake.
Yeah.
Did you like have to confront the devil, if you know what I'm talking about? Or shall I expand a bit more?
Yeah, let's just expand a bit more, because that could mean many things.
Yeah, and it could be dodgy. You know, it's like I just had this kind of. It's like it's kind of death.
Yeah.
There's a confrontation with death, and something you said in an email, like because I was saying I didn't want to leave my daughter alone, and when I was having some experience, and you're like, well, I can't remember exactly what you said, but you're like, you know, that's your whatever, you know, from Buddhist terminology, that's your
attachment.
Thank you. So now there's this, you know, it's like shit. This is, sorry, I'm allowed to swear because you swear.
Yeah, you can check.
The devil wasn't the devil, although I started. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Turning into it, looking like it, and then it was just, no, that's just it's you choose, you have choice now.
Yeah. What do you mean? You have choice.
Like, I choose not to go down that path, as in of energy, like it's just love. So, but there's death in that, so maybe that appears as whatever, like the mind conjures up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just give me a moment to see what comes.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can't see you then.
Yeah, so the idea that you've got to let go of her is only an idea. So in a way, like me saying to you that's your attachment is an idea, but what's happening in you is like that's your biggest worry, is letting go of your daughter. And so when I said that's attachment, then you thought that you've got to let go of your daughter. And it's not quite like that. It is that all there is love. Like your essence is love, and it's following that. Like what your mind is doing is it's pulling you into this dilemma of your daughter or awakening, And it doesn't mean either or. But what's dying in you, which feels like either or, is this attachment to the storyline, which is where your daughter appears.
Right.
But your daughter was never in a storyline. Your daughter never existed in this imagination that you have of her. So your body will still carry on looking after the daughter, and you'll still carry on having a relationship with her, but your attachment to the imagination of her will begin to diminish. And it's not like a big showdown. It's something that might diminish over years and years and years, like slowly diminish this attachment to the story, right, or the attachment to the parent. And it will work its way out through your body, and you'll begin to see that that like relationships still happen, but there's nobody in those relationships. So everything that you think about your daughter isn't here. Everything you think about yourself isn't here. Like what is here is this, right here, right now, and it's undefinable. And in that, your daughter, your imagined daughter, kind of disappears, but her essence is still here, and the form is still here.
Okay. And then when it comes to like death or the devil or evil, like in the apparent world, which does seem to exist. So like right now, with the coronavirus, which is, as far as I'm aware, a warfare piece that's been designed and is like going off in this way that humans are conscious and kill and do all these crazy things that apparently is real. So I'm not sure if I'm making sense. But so there's also this fear of death and dying, and of this I can't really put it into words.
Like darkness, like evilness.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So like that's.
There is actually not evilness. This is something that I'm still processing on the human level.
Okay.
But so my talking about it might be limited, but this is such a deep subject that there is nothing. There is no evilness. So even if Trump released this disease in China as part of
I don't think it was him actually.
warfare.
I think that's part of it. Yeah. Sorry.
So even if that is the case, I don't know. I don't watch the news. So I don't really know what this disease is, what's happening with this disease. But whatever the case might be, there is no evilness. So it's a projection in your body-mind of darkness. And we all have it, because this projection of darkness, because it's helping us navigate our environment. So if we can determine darkness, then it stops us dying. But this darkness isn't true. It's just a functioning that's happening in the body. Like, it's not true, this evilness. There is no such thing as evil. Everything's appearing from love. It's only from the human perspective that things are perceived as evil.
Okay.
So it's something in your body. So all the evilness that's coming, like the projection that's coming out of you now onto things, is simply a projection coming out, and we have it so deeply embedded in us, like this pouring out of like evil energy, like not that we're necessarily acting it out, but that we've seen it. Like, and that
we've seen it.
Yeah, like we've seen it in other people. That includes like the way other people behave. Like you see it in our TV shows all the time, like this fight against badness, this fight against evilness. And so it's so deeply ingrained in all of us, and it's seeing that this too is illusion. It's not true. It's a functioning that happened in the human form in order to navigate societies, but it's not a true thing. There is no evilness. That's so
I did
deep
kind of.
because it's so strong in us to believe in that. But when you look from that bigger perspective and from who you truly are, you see that every action is an action of love.
Okay. Because
Including,
all life and death.
yeah, like so, and like when you look from a bird's eye perspective, and if you fast forwarded all of our lives, you would just see the magnificence of it all. It's only that we are interpreting it personally, like we're interpreting it from our human perspective, and we see this evilness, so say someone doing something really nasty, and we project on the feeling of like a tiger ripping open your best friend or something, like, and killing your best friend. It's not a truth.
Because the energy, bringing it back to your talk about the Big Bang.
Yeah.
In that there is quite energetically life and death, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like in that pulsing.
Yeah.
So that's just what's happening, and
Yeah.
so it gets labeled as.
Yeah. And there's birth and there's growth and destruction and decay and clashes and fights and harmony and peace. It's all of it. And this is the forgiveness. I really see in that. It doesn't mean that your body necessarily stops being able to see things as bad. Like if you were a body, and I've had periods of that where you know you have these awakenings and you go so much into the love and the bliss that you no longer can see things as bad. And then in a way you have to be careful, because then like I did things that were bad because I couldn't sense that they were bad. like not like really evil, but like really evil, like getting out my gun and like but like I couldn't see anything as bad, and I couldn't explain that to anyone unless they've had an energetic awakening. And when you see like everything as divine, you can't determine between good and bad. So I was looking at a dog that was dying on the street, and all I could see, and it was in agony and it was in pain, but all I could see was like God kissing it in every action.
Oh my God! Wow.
Like, and until you've had these energetic awakenings where that happens, like, and I can imagine that this is sometimes when I find it really difficult to talk about like sometimes people's actions, because I can imagine that, you know, if you were an animal or if you were a kid and you you bumped your head or you forgot something, I can see how, like with Khaleesi, or I have seen her kill animals before, like rabbits, and when we were in Thailand she killed chickens. Like I can see from her perspective that it's total love.
Wow.
Like it's total love. And I can also see, like, and it does become quite scary, because you know you have like this is why the human character needs to come back to an extent, from my opinion, because you could just be so led astray. You know, what would have happened if in those love bliss moments, you know, I was experiencing like mass murder, like when you're you're so like out of yourself and you have no sense of being human, you have no sense of being alive, and all you can perceive is love. Like I would have perceived it as love.
You know,
I wouldn't have done anything like necessarily. I can't guarantee, but it would just been divine love.
Yeah. But you couldn't be sure. This happened to me today with Fluffy. I had this experience happening, and then I was like, Fluffy, get out of this. You know, I'm actually living in a caravan right now, and I was like, get out, because I couldn't tell if I would hug her to death.
Yeah.
And so that's really interesting.
Yeah. You get so lost in what's happening, and you get so lost in the love.
Yeah, like out of Mice and Men when he crushes the mouse. Or.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, sorry, I interrupted you a bit then, maybe.
Yeah. No, but it is, and it is like you can see how like I remember when this awakening happened, it was so intense. My mother asked me if I was going insane, and I can see how in a way it is a form of like insanity, because you can't, like, to other people that sounds really insane that you can't tell if you like hug something to death, but when you have these waking up experiences, they can be so intense that, like, I mean, I've known people that have had to go into the hospital because it's so intense. You lose every sense of being human, and you need the human part, from my perspective, to come back to to its extent in order to be able to function. I mean, if you really listen to the story about Ramana Maharshi, he sat and was meditating and letting rats nibble at his skin.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand.
He couldn't tell.
Right.
He couldn't detect it, and I can really understand that. And I can really understand it. You know, when gurus, I can't tell though if the guru, like when they do these bad things and they get caught for them, I can't tell, you know, whether they are doing stuff out of the ego and out of selfishness, and they are, or if they're just totally in love. And in that love, you can't. And when you're totally like out of your mind, you can't perceive anything. You can't perceive right or wrong, or good or bad, or left or right, or up or down.
Tony Parsons slagged Ramana off for that. He was saying he was in denial with that rap. I think I'm like you. I have actually, it's nice that you have a worse memory than me. I think, or maybe I should shut up. But I think he was saying that he was in denial, that he wasn't feeling that. But so.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be like as well. Like, I mean, all these sorts of things. But one thing's for sure, when you have these energetic awakenings, it really, it really, for periods, you know, it really messes up your mind. Like, your mind can't function in the same way. Like, like I remember being at the side of the road and not knowing how to cross the road because I couldn't perceive distance, and all the cars were whizzing past me, and I was like, you know, these things, luckily they calmed down. And this is why a lot of teachers, you know, just sit down for many years and don't do much for many years. Like, it calmed down. And Lisa, like, feels like Lisa's come back to an extent. And maybe that will change again. Maybe there's a reconditioning that happens, and then like Lisa disappears more again. But Lisa's come back to an extent, and there's that helps with functioning. It kind of like gives you some sort of anchor. But who knows?
I think Lisa could do stand-up comedy from today's. Yeah.
At university, I studied like performing arts, and it was such an amazing course I did at university. It got cut the year after I did it because of finances. But basically, it was like you study performing arts, and then you could determine the direction that your degree went into. So mine, I could pick anything I wanted to do really in performing arts. So if you wanted to be a musician, you could just pick doing drumming all the time. And I picked playwriting. But you had to you had such a selection. So one of them I selected doing like a stand-up comedy course. And I did stand-up comedy in London. Like, I did maybe like 10 gigs, and I couldn't. I realized that I would be an alcoholic if I became a stand-up comic. It was too intense. Like, in order to, because it's so intense, like a couple of times I died on stage, you know, nobody laughs. And so in order to deal with my nerves, I would drink I'd drink a couple of pints of cider, and then afterwards I'd drink cider. And then I couldn't do it without that. It was too intense, that fear of dying. It was so embarrassing when you died and nobody laughed, and you're like,
Yeah, but it might be a bit different now.
Yeah, maybe you can go back to it. I do love comedy and humor.
Right. It's almost some like Robert De Niro faces, or I don't know. It's like, it's good.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, my partner is always talking about, or not always, but saying about my faces. Like I should be an actor.
Yeah, because I hadn't watched you for a while, but just seems certainly it's awesome. So. Thank you again, Lisa, so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for your question and being vulnerable to say these things and talk about it.
Thank you for being the one person that vulnerability can be expressed, because there's just so much trust and respect.
Yeah, nice. I try my best.
Oh my God, no. Yeah.
Or what maybe better than saying I try my best. It's like my desire is to.
Yeah.
My desire is to. It's hard.
It's just pure. It's just
it's
pure
desire. The desire is to firstly like really express as honestly as I can.
Yeah.
And then also like my desire is that I wish everybody love. Like I wish everyone that freedom of what we're talking about. Like I really desire that for whoever I speak to. That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's I really appreciate that now. So
Nice.
Well, good night to you from Spain to France.
No, I'm not in France, I'm in Germany.
Oh, okay. What was you saying about the gas earlier? There was a lot of gas in
Oh, I was
Europe,
just being a
Northern
banana.
Europe?
Yeah, in the north of Europe, there's they say the storm of the century. There's big storms, like massive storms. So I was just joking, saying there was a lot of gas, like making fun of my partner in a way. Farting.
He's gonna be annoyed with you. Right, so it was gassy earlier on. Oh, okay. Yeah. In the north of Germany or whatever. Okay, well, thank you.
With pleasure. Have a beautiful evening.
Good night, and you. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so that's the end for this evening. I suspect that I'm not going to do the talk on Wednesday, and I suspect that I'm going to change it now that I'm only doing the talks on Sunday for the time being. I just have a lot of things to do at the moment, so it makes sense that I do that. But just check my website and Facebook and I will keep you posted. Thank you guys. I wish you everything. Lots of love. Bye.